Hi everybody! So when it comes to Disney Channel and Nickelodeon shows, even its most popular shows only get one crossover. Two if they're lucky. For example, Kim Possible, Wizards of Waverly Place, and That's So Raven each got one crossover. Victorious on Nickelodeon also got one crossover. Hannah Montana, Good Luck Charlie, Big Time Rush, and The Thundermans each got two crossovers. And the entire Sweet Life franchise, including The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody in the hotel and The Sweet Life on Deck on the cruise ship, each got one crossover. So it's like two altogether. My point is, crossovers were not really a huge thing when it came to children's entertainment. I mean, they were like huge events, but they didn't happen often. That's the point I'm trying to make. Except for this next show that I'm about to talk about. It did not have one crossover, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, seven. 7 whole crossovers with 7 different other shows. And what show was the one show that did this? Who else but Jessie? For some reason, Jessie, of all shows on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, was the one to have all of these crossovers, which surprised me because it has more crossovers than Phineas and Ferb. It had more crossovers than SpongeBob, which SpongeBob doesn't have any, which has surprised me too. I thought it would at least have one, but it has more crossovers, I think, than any other Disney or Nickelodeon show, aside from The Fairly OddParents, which is tied with Jessie. But The Fairly OddParents had 3 crossovers with Jimmy Neutron, so they technically only crossed over with 5 different shows, whereas Jessie did 7, so... Anyways, today I'm going to be ranking all 7 of Jessie's crossovers from worst to best. We're going to work our way up to the number 1. And just a quick disclaimer about how I categorize crossovers, because I know the line between what is a crossover and what is not a crossover can be blurry. In my eyes, a crossover has to be at least one main character from one show has to interact with another main character from another show. Like, they actually have to, like, sit down and have a conversation. Well, they don't have to sit down, but they actually have to, like, interact with each other. It doesn't count if, like, one character is watching a TV and it's another character's show. That doesn't count for me. But if, like, I don't know, Justin Russo goes to a party and sees Raven Baxter and they talk it up, then that's a crossover to me. Okay, so let's start with what I consider to be the worst Jessie crossover.
Hey, that's my candy corn!
Then what's it doing in my hand?
Yeah, you want candy? Next time moonwalk faster. Oh, you want to be starting something? Come on. I don't know who you are, but you got a big sassy mouth. I like that. Right back at you.
Now, this episode was part of Disney Channel's Monstober Spooktacular event that they had in 2015, where 7 of its live-action shows would cross over with each other. And in this instance, it's Jessie crossovering with Casey Undercover, the Disney show starring Zendaya. And it was about a family of spies. Now, the reason that this crossover is dead last on my list is because it's basically Zuri and Emma from Jessie, Ernie and Judy from Casey Undercover. I just find it to be annoying. First of all, this was the B plot for the Casey Undercover episode. The A plot was Zendaya's storyline of how she lost her spy bracelet, and her storyline was a lot more interesting. I wished it was her crossovering with, like, the other characters. And second of all, what makes this episode worse for me is basically Zuri and Judy having a sass-off, like who is the better sassy black girl, and they're having a sass-off, and we don't need that, please. So yeah, that episode, that crossover was just dead last for me.
Just you and me.
Excuse me.
And Albert Einstein.
Have you seen Marie Antoinette? We came together.
Oh, yeah, because that couple's costume makes sense.
Oh, here she comes. Wow, you move fast for someone wearing 50 pounds of hair. Delia, don't you think it's rude to take the last piece of pie?
Let Zimmy kick! You should not be dressed as a smart guy.
Now, this episode was also part of Disney Channel's Monstober Spooktacular event from the same year. But the reason why this episode is a little bit higher than the other one is because I found it more enjoyable to watch personally. It was a crossover with a short-lived Disney Channel series called I Didn't Do It, starring Olivia Holt, who we remember as Kim on Kicking It, and the girl in Girl vs. Monster. This episode, we had the characters Logan and Delia guest star on Jessie, and I actually thought that they were funny. Like, they were charming characters. They worked as comedic relief on their original shows, while the other three friends were more like stern figures. They were funny on Jessie. Like, they brought a lot of humor to it, and I liked it. And they actually like got along well with the Jessie cast, or at least it looked that way. You know, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but it was just more enjoyable to watch for me.
You open this door right now, young lady!
Make me, old lady!
Hey! I put that seat in my shower because it is comfortable. So help me, Emma Evangeline Ross, I will break down this door. Please be a softwood.
Madam, there are less drastic ways to deal with a demagnetized keycard.
Alright, in this episode, Jessie is having a hard time with Emma, who is growing up as a teenager, and she's starting to go through her rebellious phase and dealing with hormones and being angry and confused, you know? And Jessie's having a really hard time wrangling her in. And this is when Mr. Mosby appears, and he offers really good advice to Jessie, which is helpful because A, Mr. Mosby has had years of experience, first of all, dealing with London Tipton, basically being her dad, because her actual father was off who knows where. And then he also had to deal with Zach and Cody in the hotel and on the cruise ship. And this episode also had another hidden layer because Debbie Ryan, before she was Jessie, she was Bailey Pickett on The Sweet Life on Deck. And Bailey was basically a country girl from Kansas, and Jessie is basically a country girl from Texas. Basically, it was very nice to see their little reunion, and who else to give you advice about children and how to deal with them than Mr. Mosby himself, an icon. And also, I believe that Phil Lewis was working behind the scenes on Jessie like the whole time, like writing episodes, directing episodes. And I think he still does that to this day with current Disney shows. So good on him. And Mr. Mosby also breaks the fourth wall, I guess, by calling Cody afterwards. Like after his talk with Jessie, he calls Cody and he's like, Cody, you're not going to believe this. She looks just like Bailey, because it's the same actress. Duh.
You said Emma loves pigs, so I got her one of her own. What do you think she's gonna say when she sees him?
That's what I was hoping for.
Don't touch that, you swine! That's couture!
Hi, Emma. This is that beautiful girl I was telling you about. This little piggy was about to become roast pork at the luau, but I rescued him. For you.
For me?
That's the sweetest thing anyone's ever done for me.
So this crossover was with Liv and Maddie, which was Dove Cameron's Disney show. It was about her reuniting with her twin sister after going away for 4 years to film a sitcom and then coming back home. Now you'd think that a Jessie crossover with Liv and Maddie would have Liv and Maddie inside of it because they're so important to the story of Liv and Maddie. Like, that's their name, that's the name of the show. But it's just Joey and Parker, the brother characters on the show, Liv and Maddie. So it's basically a 1 hour long Jessie episode with Joey and Parker in it. No Liv, no Maddie. So yeah, that's why this crossover is just like meh to me. Like, it was a pretty good story. I just don't think that it should have been a crossover because Parker and Joey didn't really add much to it. Like, you could easily take out Joey's romance plot and write it in that Emma falls in love with a local native. And you could take out Zuri's pranking thing with Parker and write it in that Zuri and Luke are pranking people together. I don't think that Joey and Parker made much of an impact on the crossover. They should have had Liv and Maddie in it.
No destroying the children!
Are you the real Spider-Man?
In the flesh.
How do we know you're for real? It is Halloween after all.
Speaking of Halloween, you couldn't have gone as a ghost or something?
Scared you, didn't I?
Whoa! Yoo-hoo, Morgan! Follow the dancing spider!
Whoa! I've got a plan.
That's a good plan.
Let us go, Mrs. Kipling!
Alright, number 3 is Jessie's crossover with The Ultimate Spider-Man. So I was actually surprised when I found out that Jessie was going to cross over with The Ultimate Spider-Man. Just so you know, I've never cared for Spider-Man, Batman, the whole superhero thing. But I watched the show because I was a fan of Jessie, and I actually really liked it. I thought the characters worked so well, like taking them how they look physically and then putting them into an animated show, it worked really, really well. Like they had a good story to it. You know, it was Halloween night, they were trick-or-treating, and it actually reminded me a lot of the episode of The Nanny where it's a Christmas special, but it's done all in animation, just like how the theme song is done in all animation for The Nanny. Yeah, I really liked this episode. They really took advantage of the cartoon medium because they had Mrs. Kipling turn into like a fire-breathing dragon who was like 80 feet tall, and of course you can't do that with like live action. So they really took advantage of the medium, and I really enjoyed it. It was really cool, and I was surprised that I liked it because I was never a fan of like Spider-Man and Batman and stuff like that. But I will say one thing that I found kind of weird was they made the drawing of Luke's character shorter than the drawing of Ravi's character, even though in real life, Cameron Boyce, R.I.P., he was always taller than Karan Brar, who plays Ravi. I thought that was weird, but other than that, it was a great special. I was surprised that I enjoyed it.
Hey, guys. Hello, Jessie. Hi, everyone. This is my brother, PJ.
Hey.
This is Ravi, Emma, and Luke. Welcome to our humble home.
I guess in New York, humble means palace towering over the city.
My parents say thanks again for letting us stay here. We feel really bad intruding on your Christmas Eve.
Oh, well, we wouldn't want you to feel bad.
Ignore our butler. Hospitality is not really his thing.
How odd. Do you also have a chef who hates to cook?
Yeah, same guy.
So at number 2 is the crossover between Good Luck Charlie and Jessie, also known as Good Luck Jessie. They did a decent job of balancing out both shows. I felt that it was kind of weird that only Teddy and PJ were in New York City with Jessie and them. I felt like it would have been much more effective if the whole family came and they all interacted with each other instead of having them like constantly cut back and forth between New York City and Denver. But other than that, I thought it was a good crossover. Good Luck Charlie definitely held its weight. Jessie definitely held its weight. I think they could have mixed together better. And it actually reminded me of the Good Luck Charlie Christmas movie, which came out like 2 years before this. Even though that one had the family split, like Amy and Teddy were trying to find their way to California by themselves while the rest of the family was there in Palm Springs. I feel like that worked because Amy and Teddy together are a more powerful duo than Teddy and PJ. He could have been left behind with the family, and Amy and Teddy could have been in New York City. But I guess they had to make the whole Skylar thing work. But it would have been much more enjoyable if either Teddy and Amy went to New York City or the whole family went to New York City and crossed over with the whole cast of Jessie. And I remember when they had a crossover with Shake It Up, and that worked because Amy and Teddy are just such a good duo.
Now I can't believe my eyes, yeah, you're not pretend. I thought you might be my imaginary friend. You're like a star that landed here from outer space. My world just got a whole lot brighter now that I can see you face to face.
Imaginary friends can't take their place.
I need to see ya, I need to see ya.
Of you and me just talking face to face.
Here it is, the number 1 Jessie crossover. So this is obviously a crossover between Austin and Ally and Jessie, which I feel was one of the better executed crossovers coming from Disney ever. Because usually Disney crossovers, it's like 3 different shows, and one show usually gets way more screen time than the other 2 shows, and then one show barely has any relationship to the other 3. I'm specifically talking about Wizards on Deck with Hannah Montana and That's So Sweet Life of Hannah Montana. Both times, the Sweet Life was way too invested in the other two shows. And both times, Hannah Montana was basically like, I don't care to be here with you other two shows. I'm Hannah Montana. I don't want to be in this crossover. I'm going to do my own thing. Basically, that's what it was. But with Austin and Ally and Jessie, I felt that it was very, very evenly split between both shows. It starts off with Austin and Ally in Miami, and then we cut to Jessie and them in New York City, and then Austin and them, they come to New York City, and then they hang out with Jessie and them, and then they all fly back to Miami, hang out with Austin and them. It's both sides just enjoying each other's company, enjoying each other's sets, enjoying their environments, and just meshing together really, really well. And I will say that I think this is probably the best Disney Channel crossover that I can think of. Also, the music was really good. They had Can You Feel It? Face to Face. This was a whole moment. I loved it. Hey guys, this is me in the editing room. Just a couple things I forgot to say when I originally recorded this video. First of all, this special gave us Christmas Soul, which is a certified bop as a song. It's amazing. How could I forget that? Shame on me. Also, the reason why I like this special so much is because it's a New Year's special, and to me personally, there have been so many Christmas specials, so many Christmas movies, and we rarely see a New Year's special. Personally, I've always loved the New Year holiday more than Christmas anyways. New Year's is my second favorite holiday right after Thanksgiving. I just think it's really exciting because it's like the final countdown, you know, and it builds up momentum, and it's a really great plot line for a movie or a special. And I feel like more shows and movies should do it. Should use New Year's as a plot line instead of Christmas, because we have way too much anyways. But also another reason why this special worked so much, even more so than the Jessie crossover with Good Luck Charlie, is because Austin and Ally and Jessie are from the same era of Disney Channel. They both started and ended within a few months of each other, whereas Jessie and Good Luck Charlie are from two different eras. Good Luck Charlie is from the era slightly before with Wizards of Waverly Place and Hannah Montana and stuff like that. Good Luck Charlie is like the last type of show from that era. It was also the last Disney show to get a movie, but maybe that's why I felt like they didn't mesh 100% all the time, because they were from two different eras, whereas Jessie and Austin and Ally are from the same era, so they would have meshed a lot better. Anyways, that's my ranking for all 7 of Jessie's crossovers. Let me know what you think. How do you feel about the crossovers? What's your favorite crossover of any Disney or Nickelodeon show, or any show at all for that matter? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and thank you for watching.